You're watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.
Welcome into the Toronto Sports Rush here on the Bet Rivers Network. Hradek here with you, and really thrilled to be joined by one of the real good guys in the sport of hockey, and someone I watched him play when he got to the New York Islanders. I'm always full disclosure. I was a huge New York Islanders fan in my teens, and Kelly came along there in the early '80s. Kelly Hrudey joining us from Western Canada. Kelly, how you doing? How's the summer going?
Oh, so good, EJ. Thanks for the invite. Looking forward to our chat today. Summer's amazing. I'm based out of Calgary, and right now we're just getting the best weather. We're golfing a lot right now, and as you know, so close to the Rocky Mountains, so I get a chance to go to Banff and Jasper as often as possible. I'm lucky.
Yeah, that is a beautiful, beautiful part of the world, and as we were getting ready for this, right? The weather is such the key for all of us, right? In the summer, because we have these, and you mentioned it, as we get older, we love these summers in between. Not to say we aren't excited about the coming hockey season, but you like the beautiful days, and out there, I know it's just fantastic weather. So I'm really glad to see that you're enjoying it. Enjoy it because it's going to be over soon, and we both know that to be the case. Here on the Toronto Sports Rush, where we're always looking about getting thoughts and opinions on the Leafs. So we've had several weeks now, a couple of months. Season has gone by. Panthers won again. I was really impressed with the Leafs last year. I thought they were a far different team than they've been in recent memory, even with a lot of the same people. Give me your thoughts as you look back on the Leafs season.
Well, first of all, I think they're a very good team. Unlike a lot of people, it's hard to deny that. They've had their playoff failures, but aside from that, they're very well constructed. I think again, Brad Treliving did a great job this summer. It's hard to lose a guy like Marner, but that seemed inevitable. But nonetheless, I still like their team. They've got to find a way mentally, though. That's the only thing to power through in the playoffs. I said it when they lost last playoff that it was two really ugly home losses, and if you're a good team, you can't do that. I mean, you're going to lose, and we know how hard winning is in the National Hockey League, but you can't lose that ugly at home, and that was the real takeaway from last season for me.
Yeah, it is funny because that is the taste that is in everybody's mouth, right? Because, you went 7 with Florida. You had a 2-0 series lead. Heck, you had 2-goal leads in game 3. I mean, the great opportunity to really put a dagger in the Panthers. They couldn't do it. I mean, give the Panthers credit. Back-to-back champions, not easy to do 3 times to the Cup final. But, when you think about it, the Carolina Hurricanes had some ugly home losses to the Panthers. The Tampa Bay Lightning had some ugly home losses to the Panthers. I mean, they just were able to put it on you. It seemed like when they were on the road.
Yeah, the Panthers are constructed in such a way, and I know you watch a ton of hockey too, EJ. They just bully you. And we haven't seen a team like that really in that same sort of fashion. That's old school. They just come in and they intimidate you, and they challenge you to see if you're going to stand up to them, and most teams can't. And so right now, that's going to be the challenge for everybody to stand up to them. And it is interesting, though, that they remind me going back to the teams like the Islanders in the heyday, and you mentioned them, they could play any way you want, and that's what the Panthers can do. Maybe like LA when they had their good run, but that's going back to the Leafs. That's why I think, even though I was disappointed how they lost playoffs, I think there still has to be patience because they're still a really good team. And I think of a lot of teams out there that ended up winning. They had to really stumble a little bit until they finally figured it out. And that's my hope for the Leafs coming into this season, that a year older and maybe they can figure that stuff out, because it's hard. I said it earlier. It's really hard to win. And it's hard to win one game. And that's not even a series. One game's hard to win.
Yeah. Kelly, it is amazing. I try to tell fans I talk to, right? There's 32 teams in this league now, and there's a salary cap.
Yeah.
The teams that get good, that draft good players and get good, they stay good for a while. They don't fall out of things usually. They stay in, and the teams that are bad seem to stay bad for a longer period of time. maybe you could just expound on a little bit about how hard it is to win, because I try to get that point across to fans. It is hard. Only one of these teams wins, and it takes years to kind of build the team that you need to go all the way through.
Well, and isn't it funny how, so you've got all those dynamics. You build what you think is a pretty good team when you look at the roster, you match up, you think, well, in your own division, and then other things happen. Like, look at the Vancouver Canucks last year, right? Did anybody foresee that they'd fall off a cliff like that? Like 2 years ago in the playoffs, they go to Game 7 in the second round versus Edmonton, and I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is a team built for the future. And they stumble out of the gate last year. They have a horrible season. They had to trade Miller, great player. I'm sure they didn't want to do it, but circumstances in the dressing room led to all this. And all of a sudden, you're looking at that team. You're going, "What are they again? I don't know."
Yeah.
And so you look around the league, as you mentioned, 32 teams. And when I look at the teams, I go, "Okay, I probably feel like there's 10 teams that I have a pretty good idea on the good side." Maybe 10 teams on the bad, and then the rest I have no idea. I have no idea from year to year what they may be. I know, and I'm sure you get the same questions, EJ. People come up to me in the offseason and they go, "Who's going to win this year?" I go, "I have no idea. How would I?" I mean, as you mentioned, with the salary cap, and if you get a couple injuries, you could be in trouble. So that's why I think the league is so interesting now, because we just don't know.
Yeah, let me ask you about the additions that the Leafs made, because, again, it's about putting a puzzle together, right? If you have all great players, it's nice in theory, but, like, those pieces have to fit. And, Marner's gone, and you mentioned, hard to replace Mitch Marner. He's a terrific, terrific player. He's a star. Yeah. But they get a guy like Nick Waugh. They get a guy like Dakota Joshua that maybe in playoff series, Nick Waugh has already been through it. He's won a cup. He's just a versatile, centerman that can do a lot of things for you, kind of the back, helps really reset the back end of your forward group. All of a sudden, maybe are they better suited for the playoffs with guys like that on their roster?
Well, two important guys, and you mentioned Waugh. He does so many things well. He's going to be, I think, and this is a good thing, unnoticed because he's not going to make a lot of mistakes. He just goes out there, plays hard every game, and I think the Toronto fans will love him for that. I think they'll fall in love with his style of play. No nonsense kind of guy, can do a lot of things. Joshua is a guy that, if he can stay healthy, could really improve that team. He is a big man. He can play hard, go to the net, uses his speed and size really, really well. And Maccelli, I mean, when I first saw him the first time, 3-4 years ago, I was blown away. I thought, oh my gosh, is this guy talented? So if he can find his game again and be a player that, when I first saw him, that I thought he'd be very impactful down the road, if he can find his game again. So lots of different elements. And I think Morgan Riley's going to have a better season. And there are a lot of things that probably led to that. And becoming a new dad, that's always so fun, right? But sometimes it can take away a little bit of focus. I know that was a real challenge for me, being a dad, having 3 daughters while I was playing, and it's a real balance, right? You're trying to be great at your job, but trying to be a great dad and great husband and all that. So you got to find that balance. So I really think for the Leafs that with the additions they've made and trying to fit it all together, there's, again, still going to be outstanding.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring up Maccelli, right? He's someone, I remember talking to Bill Armstrong when he came on the scene with the then, Arizona Coyotes. Yeah. And he talked about him being a really good player on the power play, on the half wall. He really sees the ice well. That's an area that the Leafs were hoping. That's probably why they got him, is that he could give that power play a boost with Marner being gone and having to kind of reshuffle some pieces.
100%. Like, Leaf fans are going to notice his skill first second they see him. Like, he's got high-end skill, great mind for the game, but it's got to translate on the ice in a regular season game. Like I couldn't believe last year. I think he dealt with some injuries, but he was also a healthy scratch a bunch. And I couldn't quite figure that one out. I was in Utah a couple times and he never played either game. And so maybe that's motivation for him too, right? So when it doesn't go well and you're moved and you've got to find your game again, that's pretty motivating to a lot of people.
Yeah, and Kelly, sometimes, I just talked about pieces, right? Like Utah has a lot of like smaller skilled forwards. Maybe like they had guys like that there. And so the piece that he provides wasn't something they need. Maybe he can fit better in Toronto where he'll be asked to do different things.
Oh, I agree with that. And, Toronto's such a hockey market, but I don't think he'll feel that pressure the same as where he was in Utah, maybe trying to find his way and trying to be a big player, where in Toronto, he's just got to be a bit player, right? Just find your role, do what you do best, and hopefully for him it works out.
All right. Let me ask you about the goaltenders because we had Anthony Stolarz with us a couple of weeks ago.
I watched him. He was very good. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a good guy. Hey, listen, I'm always for the Jersey guys. I've been living in New Jersey for 25 years now. So, I got to root for my Jersey guys. But, he's been through it, Kelly. Like, you understand it. You were in the National Hockey League as well for 15 seasons. You understand it as well as anyone.
Yeah.
He's had a lot of injury issues, but he's kind of found his way. The last 2 years, statistically, he has been terrific. It's really unfortunate that he got dinged in that first game against Florida and could not play the rest of the series. What do you make of Stolarz and Woll as a team? And, how does that goaltending duo look to you as someone who's played the position?
Oh, they're terrific. That's a great tandem. I really like those guys. Stolarz is an interesting guy because he's had to fight his whole way right through his career. Yeah. And he's had to really battle, as you mentioned, those injuries. There was a time, and I won't get into specifics, but a goalie coach that he was dealing with loved him, but because of the injuries, they thought that he may never play again. And that was a number of years ago. And so he's been able to fight through all that. And that takes a lot of fortitude to fight through and not have it affect you mentally to the point where you give up. Like sometimes it's so deflating when you get injured. And as you know, EJ, you're not around the team as much and it's a lonely position when you're injured. And so you've got to do it a lot on your own. You've got to rely on your own team, whether it's your family or your agent and whomever. And so I give him a lot of credit for powering through and getting to this stage in his career where he's really got a good footing now. And his partner, Woll, I think the future is so bright. He's got a presence in the net, right? Like he just looks so calm. It looks as though nothing really gets to him. What he's lacking is experience, and he's getting that, right? Yeah. It's crushing when you have some of those losses, but at the same time, you've got to accept that and move forward. I think of a guy like, and I'm not comparing him to Jonathan Quick, but all goalies go through things. When you think of Jonathan Quick early in Los Angeles, there were a few stumbles there, right? And then all of a sudden, he figured it out. His teammates figured it out, and they win 2 cups in 3 years. So, and he was a huge part of it, and he's a Hall of Famer. So, when you have a guy like Woll, and the way that he's figured out the how to read a play, like that's one of the things I remember him saying maybe 3-4 years ago that when he was coming up, what they needed him to do, and he needed to understand how to read a play. And so you can have all the talent in the world, and he has learned that. But if you're a goalie and you can't read a play as quickly as you need to, it's a hard league to play in. Yes. And that's the number one thing about a goaltender. You can tell me all about the mechanics and all these sorts of things, but if you can't read a play as quickly as you need to, you won't have a long career.
Yeah, I think that is something that is, we talk so much. I mean, like, let's face it, we're in this business. We're always talking about different things, parts of the game. And I think that is something over the years, I've come to learn more and more of just how valuable it is for a goaltender to be able to read and react to the play. Yeah. Like Shesterkin here in New York, it seems like it's one of the biggest things that makes him such a terrific goalie. He has a really like a sublime ability to move.
Yeah.
But he reads it so well that when he's on his game, it just looks like he just makes it look easy because of that.
Well, when you're in your end of the ice and the play may be down in the other end, so the brain is still on, it's active, and you're thinking about, okay, who's on the ice on the other team? What do they do well individually? And how do they work as a line? Or how does the defenseman that may be on the ice, how does he join the rush? And so I'm thinking this, and so I'm trying to make sure I'm aware of every option they may have. And if they make a line change on the way, I've got to know who jumps on the ice. So you're watching that, and you're making sure that you're prepared for all options. And if it's a guy like Connor McDavid on the ice, then you've got to know who's on the ice with him, what their go-to options may be. If Draisaitl's on the ice, it's that down low pass where he's nearly on the goal line, Draisaitl, and nobody's better in the league with that shot. So you've got to be aware if he's on the ice. You got to know if all the situations. If there's a defenseman, is it Evan Bouchard on the ice? Because he is, then I've got to be aware that I may have to take a step out, one step further, to take away more of the net because he's got such a great shot. So all these things, and that's why, like you said, Shesterkin's so good. I look at a guy here in Calgary, Dustin Wolf. Yeah. Because of his size, he really has to read a play exceptionally well and adapt to things. And he has. He's really learned a lot in his short time in the league.
And Kelly, this is how it all works in tandem, right? Like now you have to be able to, the really great goalies, they read it, they see it. To your point, they're always thinking, right? Now, if you have a good team in front of you or a team that plays a structured defense in front of you, now all of a sudden options for the other team, there are fewer. So for you, it's a little easier, right? Because I can check off, okay, they're not going to be able to do this, this, this. I only have to worry about this.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. And that's why LA Kings, they had that success because Jonathan Quick, they made Jonathan Quick's job a tiny bit easier because all he had to rely on was the shooter. Nothing backdoor. Very rarely did they give up 2-on-1s, things like that. And I'm not suggesting it was easy for Quick, but they did take away some of the options that the other team wanted. And that's one of the reasons why that team had so much success in that stretch.
Yeah, it's funny. I can remember when Barry Trotz came to the Islanders and they cut their goals against 100 in 1 year, his first year. And the goaltender Grice was there. And he was, I remember talking to him and that's what he was saying. He was just like, hey, now I know when a team comes over the blue line, they basically have like one option. And so it makes my life a lot easier. I mean, it all works together, right?
It does. It's funny when you mention that. It reminded me of when you play in the National Hockey League, the goalie job can sometimes be easier than playing in the minors. And why is that? Because it's more predictable. I have a better idea what my defenseman might do in a situation because he's a top-notch defenseman and he's not going to make the silly mistakes that the guy in the minors might make. And so you're right. When you get into a system that you can depend upon as a goalie, you know what you have to do and your job becomes a little bit easier. You still have to make the save, but you have an idea what your job looks like.
Kelly, I want to go back to Stolarz for a minute, and I want to bring up Sergei Bobrovsky because Stolarz played in Florida for a year. I remember talking to Anthony in that time. He was up close and watching the preparation and the way that Bobrovsky really handles himself as a pro. And it's been an unbelievable run for Sergei. I think he's obviously cemented his Hall of Fame credentials, over 400 wins, multiple Stanley Cups. How important do you think that was for Stolarz to be around someone like Bobrovsky for a full year?
Oh boy, that is so important. And you've got to learn when you're around those guys, take advantage of it. And players like Bobrovsky and his preparation is legendary. He just does so many of the right things in a simple way. Like when you go to a morning skate, and I can't say all the time because I'm not around him always, but when I'm in the playoffs and I'm there and I go to the morning skate, he does things very slowly on the ice. So when he's getting shots from the goalie coach or a shooter that's warming him up, he does things repetitively, but slow. You know why he does it slowly? Because he wants to do it right. It's not just powering through. He's not going as fast as possible. He's not going at game speed to make, because that'll come. That'll come in the rest of practice. But when he's getting ready, he does everything so methodically that he makes sure that everything he does is correct. So Stolarz watches that, right? So he understands that. And that's the key to a guy like Bobrovsky. I can give you another story behind the scenes with Bobrovsky. It was a number of years ago. He was still with Columbus. I'm traveling on the road with the Calgary Flames. We're in Columbus for a game day. I go to the morning skate and I ask, he's there. I'm in the dressing room. I asked him if I can chat with him. I introduced myself, if I can chat with him after the morning skate. And he was extremely polite, but he said, no, unfortunately, Kelly, I can't talk morning of a game, but if you come see me after the game, I'll talk to you for as long as you want. And I was really impressed with that. Like, he's got it figured out. He doesn't want to talk in the morning because that's not the way he prepares in his way for a game. And so when you're a guy like Stolarz, you see that and you understand it. Maybe Stolarz can talk. It's not for everybody. Everybody has their own thing, but you learn to take things that you watch and incorporate them into your own game.
All right, Kelly, before we let you get out of here, I do want to bring up for the Leafs fans, I know they're excited to hear about Game 7 of your series against the LA Kings and the Toronto Maple Leafs back in 93. I will tell you, I think like there's a couple of series in my lifetime that I've watched that are, you know, if I ever write a book about like the top series, I think that series, LA and Toronto, was maybe the most memorable of any, just because there were so many crazy things. I mean, first of all, you have LA and you have Toronto. And then you have Melrose and you have Burns. And then you have Gretzky and you had Gilmore. And you had McSorley and you had Clark. I mean, like the list goes on and on. You had yourself, you had, you know, Felix Potvin. I mean, like you have all kinds of like storylines. So I just thought it was unbelievable. But while I have you, what do you remember about that Game 7, aside from the fact that Gretz had the hat trick and you guys won? I mean, getting ready for it for Leaf fans, I know they don't maybe love to hear it, but now it's a long time ago now.
Well, it's funny you bring this up because I shared with this with Ron and Kevin and Jennifer and Elliot during the playoffs. Sometimes it's funny what you remember going into games, right?
Yeah.
So the night before that game, it was a Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada, so we're aware of that significance, right? And Friday night, about 10 or 12 of us on the Kings went for a steak dinner to a great steak joint in Toronto, and I remember that vividly because there was a big game the next night, and so your memory is alive with all these different things.
Yeah,
I remember stretching outside the dressing room before the game and thinking, this is a very cool experience. I've got to remember this. I've got to live it because it's you rarely ever get a Saturday night on Hockey Night in Canada, Game 7 in Maple Leaf Gardens.
Yeah.
I wanted to experience that and drink it all in. I remember walking onto the ice before the game and looking around and thinking, this is what I grew up with, watching games in Maple Leaf Gardens. And then, of course, I remember Wayne putting on a show like none other. If you go back, EJ, the first goal that Wayne scored, I doubt many players in league history can score that goal. It was a great play by Yari Curry at center ice to spring Marty and Wayne on a 2-on-1. And Wayne gave Marty a perfect pass, and I thought Marty was going to shoot because I thought he had a perfect opportunity, and yet he slid the puck back over to Wayne. Nobody in the world could react to that pass because nobody expected it. Wayne somehow was able to handle that puck in his skates, kick it up to his stick blade, and guide the puck into the net. I was at the other end going, nobody else in the world can score that goal. Nobody else can accept that pass except Wayne. And then the second goal was just a thing of beauty. And maybe he got lucky on this hat trick goal, banking it off Dave Ellett, but it gave us that 2-goal cushion because I gave up a terrible goal to Dave Ellett with about a minute to go. And so I made the game more interesting than it needed to be. Like Dave Ellett, he was a great player. He had a great shot, but with a 2-goal lead with a minute to go, you can't give up that goal to make it, a nail-biting end to the end. But yeah, and then, by the way, I do remember thinking in the last 30 seconds or so, because Doug Gilmour had the puck behind the net, and I was aware because I watched his game-winning goal versus Curtis Joseph and the St. Louis Blues earlier in the playoffs. So I was aware of what Gilmour may try to do. Now, we didn't allow him to come out from behind the net. We played it really well. But, so you're thinking a lot of things about that. But that was a great memory. And then we went on into Montreal, another great experience playing in the Montreal Forum. We lost that one, but nonetheless, great memories.
Hey, I'll ask you just quick in summing it up here. I talked to Wayne about that series and different things, and he had his story that he tells is that Mike Myers, the comedian, who's a Toronto guy and a big Leafs fan, but he was pestering him about hey, Wayne, you got to help me get tickets for the game, and he helped him. I guess he scalped the tickets. He got him the tickets, and then Wayne is stretching and getting ready. He peeks out, and there's Mike Myers sitting in his seat, and he's head to toe Leafs gear. And he goes, and he just was like, what? I mean, he was just kind of thanks. I helped you get the tickets. This is what I get.
Yeah, I know. Wayne shares that story. I also remember John Candy was around all the time, and he was always at our games. He was at the Game 7 in Toronto. Just so many unique stories, right? And Wayne's incredible at sharing all those. And I know he did share that Mike Myers story with us. We all had a chuckle, right?
Yeah, I'm telling you, I got to write a book about that series because that to me, it was just so many storylines, right? I mean, just the fact you had Burns and Melrose, that enough would be plenty.
Yeah, when they had that fight, not a physical fight, but Pat Burns left the bench and walked towards Barry Melrose. And then Barry Melrose said something, I can't remember, but there was, I think we banned Hockey Night in Canada or something. We maybe declined a guest for Hockey Night. I can't remember. There's that storyline. Some of this we weren't hearing, right? Because we're just playing. We're not involved with the off-ice things. I remember another storyline, EJ. We weren't in that series until Marty McSorley fought Wendell Clark. We badly lost game 1. 4-1. I think Toronto had something like 47 shots in game 1. I gave up, I think, 3 goals in the third. And we were not mentally involved in that series until Marty fought Wendell with about 2 minutes left, I think, in the third period. And Marty really sparked us and got us back into the series.
Yeah, we talk about all the pieces. We just talked about for the Leafs, right? Different pieces of the puzzle. Yeah. And Marty McSorley was obviously an important piece for that team that get to the Stanley Cup final. But Kelly, listen, I don't want to keep you any longer. You've been very, very generous with your time. I really, really appreciate it. Enjoy these dwindling days of summer. And we'll see you around the rinks, around the National Hockey League.
You got it. You can see I'm wearing a golf shirt. I'm heading to the course right now to get in another round.
Yeah, well, you might notice I have the same attire.
I love it, EJ.
All right, Kelly, have a great day. Thanks, everybody, for watching the Toronto Sports Rush right here on the Bet Rivers Network.
Thanks for watching Toronto Sports Rush on the Bet Rivers Network.